Bill Shakespeare Project presents This Week in Shakespeare for the week ending Monday, July 30th, 2018. Hola, Bartophiles. I'm Bill, and welcome to the 206th episode of This Week in Shakespeare, a video release brought to you by the Bill Shakespeare Project. Today, I am sporting the Collected Works t-shirt by Mia Gosling, also known as Good Tickle Brain, who does some incredible stick figure Shakespeare comics. I'll post a link to her website in the description of this video, and you all really need to check her out. And if you have any Shakespeare tees you'd like to see me wear on a future This Week in Shakespeare, leave a comment or send me an email at bill@thebillshakespeareproject.com, and I'll get you my address. I'd love to be wearing your gear on a future video. But enough about the future. Back to the present and the past. This is our weekly opportunity to let you know about the latest and greatest in Willie Shakespeare headlines coming at you every Tuesday. The goal here is to hit you with a quick blast, no more than 10 minutes tops, of Bard-related news. Plus, we'll try to serve up some historical dates for what were the past 7 days of the year. So, this week's news stories included: The Telegraph in the UK released its latest episode of its Much Ado About Shakespeare podcast. This one is on a subject kind of near and dear to my heart: Shakespeare's seeming systematic silencing of his female characters. Let's just say that this is an aspect to my upcoming master's thesis. Now, last week it was Parks and Rec. This week, the folks over at Mashable.com ran a great piece on the latest meme storm. This time it's Game of Thrones clips representing Shakespeare's plays. Houston Public Media ran a podcast on Houston's Shakespeare Festival, which is presenting a female Hamlet this year. The Daily Mail in the UK ran a piece titled, "Can You Spot the Real Shakespearean Sonnet? The AI Learning How to Write Its Own Poetry." The story concerns researchers at IBM who used 2,600 sonnets to train their AI and then asked workers from a crowdsourcing website to rate them. Those workers found that they were unable to distinguish them from the real deal. However, experts were more critical and said that the new poems lacked real emotion. It's a fascinating read. The Morning Call reviewed Richard II by Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival, running through August 5th in Center Valley, Pennsylvania, calling it brilliant and a stunning piece of theater. NJ.com reviewed Titus Andronicus by Shakespeare Theater of New Jersey, running in Madison, New Jersey through August 5th, calling it an elegant rendering of death and destruction, and saying that the production locates and accentuates the play's foundation in pitiable human suffering. The Houston Press reviewed The Comedy of Errors by Houston Shakespeare Festival, running in Texas through August 5th, calling it a light and playful production filled with silly gags, crazy slapstick, and unexpectedly sporty cartwheeling transitions while occasionally winking at the audience for good measure. And finally, Buffalo Rising reviewed Much Ado About Nothing by Shakespeare in Delaware Park, running in Buffalo, New York through August the 10th, giving it 5 of 5 Buffalo, and calling it superbly directed and a fully enjoyable evening of repartee. Now let's take a look back on the last 7 days and how they relate to Shakespearean history, both his and the history in his plays. On July 24th, 1567, Mary, Queen of Scots, the Queen Regent of Scotland, ended her reign when she was forced to abdicate, allowing her 1-year-old son, James VI, the future James I of England, to become the King of Scotland. On October 25th, 1603, James VI of Scotland, remember him from yesterday? Well, he was crowned James I of England after the death of Elizabeth. On July 26, 1945, Helen Mirren was born. Dame Helen is a renowned actress, beginning her career with the Royal Shakespeare Company in the late 60s, and has appeared in the 3 parts of Henry VI, Midsummer Night's Dream, As You Like It, and The Tempest. Also born on this date, this time in 1973, was Kate Beckinsale. One of her first roles was as Hero in Kenneth Branagh's Much Ado About Nothing. And also born on this date, in 1959, was Kevin Spacey, who played an interesting Richard III in a world tour a few years back, and a killer, no pun intended, Richard-esque character in House of Cards. On July 27th, 1054, the historical Macbeth was defeated when Siward, Lord of Northumberland, invaded Scotland and met his troops around the Firth of Forth. While he survived this battle, it did mark the beginning of the end for old Mackers, and within 3 years he was dead, and Malcolm was the new king. Only in the play. In history, Macbeth was actually succeeded by his stepson, Lulach. On July 28th, 1540, Thomas Cromwell was executed for treason and heresy. Henry VIII's chief minister, he fell out of favor when he began to suggest Anne of Cleves as a possible wife to Henry. He was arrested on June the 10th, and the marriage to Anne was annulled on July 9th. On the day of Cromwell's execution, Harry married Catherine Howard. On July 29th, 1567, the one-year-old son of Mary, Queen of Scots, was crowned James VI of Scotland. He would later become James I of England. On July 30th, 30 BC, Mark Antony, according to some accounts, stabbed himself, thinking that his lover Cleopatra had killed herself. His wound was mortal, but not immediately so, and he was reunited with his love, where he died in her arms, as depicted in Antony and Cleopatra. And that was your Week in Shakespeare, brought to you by the Bill Shakespeare Project. Now, if you've enjoyed this news review, tell a friend and hit the subscribe button to keep from missing these news, reviews, and history videos. For our daily blog and previous Twiz episodes, including links to the news stories we've covered, as well as the real Bill Shakespeare Project podcast, check us out at thebillshakespeareproject.com. And we'll catch you next week.